Well, Donald Trump took a jab at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis this past Saturday night. Let's watch.
We're winning big, big, big in the Republican Party for the nomination like nobody's ever seen before. Let's see, there it is, Trump at 71, Ron DeSanctimonious at 10%, Mike Pence at 7. Oh, Mike's doing better than I thought.
Okay, so Ron DeSanctimonious, sanctimonious, meaning holier than thou or self-righteous. That's the meaning of that word. So the big question is, why did Trump decide to smear DeSantis this way when so many people in the GOP love both men and would love nothing more than to see a Trump-DeSantis ticket? Many Trump supporters would love to see Trump back in the White House in 2024 and DeSantis in the White House in 2028. These guys are seen as being cut from the same cloth and natural allies. So this jab was surprising, and it didn't go over well with the GOP Trump-loving base. You'll notice, first of all, that very few people cheered or clapped when he called Ron by this new nickname. And then supporters took to Twitter to express how disapproving they were of the move. Here's Steven Crowder, a very conservative talker from The Blaze, saying, "Neither is perfect, but I'd vote for Trump or DeSantis in 2024. I don't see how Trump attacking DeSantis before a major midterm is beneficial to Trump or America at large. That is all." Now, here is another staunch conservative. This is Jesse Kelly from the First TV network, tweeting, "Hardcore Trump loyalist, very upset with Trump for that shot at DeSantis before an election. Selfish." And here's Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire, saying DeSantis is an extremely effective conservative governor who's had real policy wins and real cultural wins. Trump isn't going to be able to take this one down with a dumb nickname. He better have more than that up his sleeve. So this was the general sentiment across all of social media and conservative talk shows. No one took this nickname. No one took to it, I should say, and no one understood why Trump felt the need to take this jab at a guy who's popular in MAGA land. Okay, so what happened that triggered this? Well, there were rumors circulating that DeSantis was meeting with the Paul Ryan camp and Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy about running for president in 2024 with a plan to, quote unquote, defeat MAGA. So the DeSantis team now, they, of course, completely deny this. But honestly, what else would they do? Because it isn't a good idea for DeSantis to admit by either saying it's true or by not commenting, which is another form of admitting it, only days before his reelection bid in Florida. He'd be risking Trump supporters deeming him to be disloyal and staying home rather than voting for him in Florida. So not a smart thing to be like, yeah, I'm running and I did meet with these guys. And also not smart for him to say no comment. So the only thing really he can do is deny it. Now, but of course, there's also the possibility that it isn't true at all. And he's denying it because it isn't true. But if I had to guess, I'd guess it to be more likely somewhat true in order for Trump to whip out a nickname like this. Because, you know, Trump has inside sources who are all intertwined within the GOP and people talk. So my guess is DeSantis has been considering a run for president in 2024. And that idea has upset Trump, who is largely responsible for DeSantis becoming governor of Florida. Now, of course, there's another possibility, and that is that this is just a ratings ruse, that Trump and DeSantis are pretending there's some sort of tension there in order to get their names in the press. And if that's the case, it's certainly working, but it's not likely the situation. It's more likely DeSantis has been exploring a 2024 presidential bid, and this has Trump feeling betrayed. I can't imagine Trump being, colluding with another person for media attention because people are saying DeSantis over and over and over again. And you know how Trump feels about all that. So it's not really likely. I think it's way more likely that DeSantis actually has been exploring a run. Trump caught wind of it, and that's why he called him Ron DeSanctimonious. Now, here to back that up, here's a tweet from Robert Costa from CBS News. He says, several DeSantis allies, some also close to Trump, text last night and this morning, unprompted, expressing private anger and even disgust with Trump for his remarks about the Florida governor. Say they're telling DeSantis and his family and his top aides to still move toward 24 bid. Okay, so he says still move towards a 24 bid. So they're indicating that they have been, in fact, looking at running against Trump in the primary, or at least running. Maybe they didn't know Trump was going to run, but they definitely have been indicating that they're wanting to run. Okay, so let's go down that road. So rumor has it Trump is running in 2024, and he's set to announce it on November 14th. Now, this has come from several different sources, not sure how credible they are, but they've said it, and Trump seemed to indicate as much in the rally in Pennsylvania. He said that the only reason he wasn't making a big announcement was because he was there for Dr. Oz, who's running for Senate against Fetterman, and for Doug Mastriano, who's running for governor. But he indicated everyone would be very, very happy very soon. So what happens if DeSantis throws his hat in the ring and he battles Trump? Let's go down that road. Now, here are some what polls have to say about this. You can see here in the polls, Trump has 53% of the vote if they were to hold the primary today. DeSantis, well, this is actually from November 4th. DeSantis at 30%, Pence at 12%, Cheney at 3%. Real popular, that Liz Cheney, isn't she? Another poll showed Trump at 56%, DeSantis at 27%, Pence at 12%, and Cheney also at 3%. So that is what it would look like if they were to hold the primary November 4th. Now, that poll was taken prior to Trump kind of putting this smear out there. And I know that smear turned some people off, but I doubt it was enough to put DeSantis in the lead. So Trump is still leading in these polls, but with DeSantis, I mean, fairly close. I mean, he's fairly close this far out. This is 2 years away and he's pretty close. So barring some revelation about him that really turns off voters, he only really has room to gain, right? I mean, it's really Trump's primary to lose. It would be Ron DeSantis's to gain. So it's possible voters do get turned off just by him actually running. People may view it as a betrayal to the guy who got him where he is, and they may feel like he's jumping the gun. You know, people want him in 2028, they want Trump in 2024, and then they want 2 terms of DeSantis. But I think a lot of people would prefer DeSantis over Trump and feel that Trump should step aside because DeSantis doesn't come with all of the drama and the baggage, and it's time for a new generation. But would those same people, when push comes to shove, actually vote for DeSantis over Trump if they were forced to choose? That is hard to say. Now, Trump's natural inclination to make fun of candidates, if he's to go up against DeSantis, won't work in this situation. He's going to need to point out actual policy differences because both candidates appeal to the same crowd. So just name calling isn't going to work because really it wasn't the name calling that worked with that crowd. They already didn't like that person. And so when he made a name for them, it was like, oh, funny, there's a nickname for this person I already don't like. That's not the case with DeSantis, right? They like DeSantis. So coming up with a nickname for him isn't going to work in this instance. They need to come up with policy differences between the two. Now, DeSantis could nail Trump on his COVID response, claiming that he was the one who rushed out the vaccines and who gave Big Pharma immunity. That is going to be a big negative against Donald Trump. But Trump maybe could get DeSantis on foreign policy. It depends. We don't know much about DeSantis's views regarding the military-industrial complex. And also, Trump could try to paint DeSantis as an establishment hack, which is much more likely to stick and turn off voters. DeSantis will be getting all of the establishment Republicans on his side because they don't want Trump. And actually, that's going to hurt DeSantis. So if it's going to be head-to-head with those two, all I can say is it's going to be very, very interesting in this next year, or maybe even 2. Once Trump announces his bid, it's going to be all eyes on actually DeSantis, which is probably really going to upset Trump, right? So Trump says he's going to announce probably in a week from today. He's going to think that all eyes are going to be him. Trump is back in the ring, but then everyone's going to be talking about what is DeSantis going to do? Does he run against Trump? Does he back Trump instead? If he runs, how will voters respond? Who could better beat Biden, Trump or DeSantis? I mean, these are the questions that we can expect to see in the news cycle over and over and over again. And that's only going to push Trump into talking more smack about DeSantis if DeSantis doesn't quickly announce that he's not running and he's instead endorsing Trump. So the longer DeSantis remains silent after Trump puts his hat in the ring, supposedly in a week from today, we could see more infighting between the two. That is, I think, something we could be expecting. So it'll be really interesting to see how DeSantis handles that. And maybe that's why Trump is deciding to announce so soon, 2 years in advance. That's a pretty early announcement. Maybe he's choosing to do it because it gives time for people to sour on DeSantis, I suppose. That might be the strategy because that's really going to be his number one foe at this point. Now, as far as who is more likely to beat Biden, well, if Biden runs, which of course is to be determined, I think that if Trump would have chosen to back DeSantis rather than run, DeSantis would be the clear winner. I think he would just walk into the White House. Trump against Biden is a little muddier because so many people are turned off by Trump and they may sit this election cycle out rather than vote. And I think ideally in the GOP's mind, they'd have DeSantis on the ticket with Trump endorsing him and campaigning for him. And interestingly, I think the Democrats are kind of wanting the same thing for themselves. They wish they could dethrone Biden with a more viable candidate while having Biden's blessing in the whole thing. So it's interesting that both parties kind of have the same problem, right? They both have these candidates. Neither of them really want them to run, but at the same time, they're probably the best people to run for their party at the time. So, I mean, this is just an incredible election cycle. We're in an incredible election cycle right now, and it's only going to get more interesting. So this is going to be an extremely interesting time to be paying attention to politics. Even tomorrow's elections are going to be extremely interesting and important to pay attention to. There's a possibility it's still there that New York flips to a red governor, to a Republican governor. That would be very interesting. We're watching to see what happens with Carrie Lake down in Arizona. Is she going to turn Arizona red? Arizona's a purple state, but is it going to go Republican for governor again? But Carrie Lake. And so it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens in this election cycle tomorrow, but then even more interesting, what happens for the 2024 presidential bid. I don't think there's been a more interesting election cycle, certainly not in my lifetime, I don't think. So this is going to be one for the ages. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming election excitement, because there's going to be plenty. And I'm actually only a few hundred subscribers away from 500,000. So hit that sub button and I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching.